FreshandFit Moneyclips. Join us as Justin Waller, a 30-year-old plus millionaire, unveils the secret to achieving financial success in your 20s. On the FreshandFit podcast, he shares invaluable insight on wealth building, investment, and a mindset that led him to prosperity. Get ready to unlock your path to riches with Justin Waller, right here, right now.
The most dangerous thing in business is what you don't know. He's choosing a complete other path than me, and that's very dangerous to a person's identity.
And obviously that's probably been critical for like scaling up too, to be able to operate in 15 states.
I started off, I went to college, played football, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, like everybody else. I did that, and then I graduated college 2009. I went to school for construction management, and I was told, you go to school here, it's 100% job placement. You're going to have a job in Dallas, making 75, 80 to start, and then you eventually one day you might be a VP of a company, make $150.
Nice.
So I graduate 2009, and bam, no jobs.
You followed the blueprint.
Dude, I did.
The regular guy's blueprint.
I did, man. I super followed the blueprint, and I'm going through a hard time. I broke up with Miss Louisiana. Again, couldn't get a job. So I waited tables at a place called Texas de Brazil in Baton Rouge. I would take my little resume that basically had nothing on it, and I would go to these companies and apply for jobs where they're building this hospital in Baton Rouge. And it was this huge project. I want to say it was like 40 mil to build this hospital. And they have these job trailers set up outside. So I'd go and walk in there and try to give the gatekeeper my resume. And she's like, son, I can't do that. I'm like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like, come back like 4 or 5 days later. I'm like, can I see him? You're like, I know the boss is here. So no. The third time I went, she goes, you know what? Stay right there. And she goes in the back. She gets this guy and this old grizzled, just angry ass looking 50-something-year-old white man. He goes, are you Justin? I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, come with me. So we go to the back. He plops down in his chair and he's like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
And he looks at it and he looks at me and he looks at it and he looks at me. He throws it down on the table and he goes, you've been in here multiple times, interrupting my job. I'm out here working a $40 million project and you're coming here off the streets 3 or 4 and 5 times trying to see me to get a job. And I'm like, yes, sir. And he just leans back in his chair and he goes, I like that shit. And he gave me a job. And long story short, that was 11 years ago this month. And so here we are. Yeah.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy because like your perseverance of you going back and forth to the guy multiple times.
Yeah.
Most people say, you know what? I didn't get it. I give up. Life is over.
You took that persistence, you were able to get that job, use it as a stepping stone, and then from there, you're able to build up that capital and get to 10,000. And then what happened? How'd you transition from there?
Okay, cool. So from there, you have a decision to make. You're like, okay, well, what direction do I go? I knew metal buildings was a big thing. And then my stepdad, he knew metal buildings really well. And so if you've ever read E-Myth, there's the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. Well, I knew I had a technician that was competent, and I knew metal buildings, but not to that level. So I was like, hey, look, I'm going to go get these contracts, help me do these buildings, blah, blah, blah. Started out, man, we must have had 3 guys and I had $2,500 a week payroll, which I was freaking the fuck out about. Wow. By the way, now we do over 100,000 a week in payroll. Wow. I think over 100 men. But it started out very, very humble. Backyards, losing money, doing projects for almost free. And then eventually I got my first commercial job and I lost about $25,000. So I had to actually go get a job working for this other industrial company for a year. So the commercial world it's ugly, but it also can be very explosive.
Yeah.
On the other end of that, I'll never forget the first time I made $100,000 in 6 weeks. Like do a re-roof or really just knock a project out. And then I hired my first project manager. That's when we go from $800,000 to like 1.5 mil.
For the people out there, can you tell them what a 35% margin is, just so they know?
Yeah, that's like 3.5 million on 10 million in revenue.
Okay, so that's what you're taking home.
Yeah,
that after paying out the workers, the contractors, everything,
out the door.
You're walking out the door with 3.5 for you, not even your people. Okay.
Yeah.
That's from a guy begging for a job. Today, that's
waiting
crazy,
tables.
Man.
I waited tables that night.
Too.
I begged for a job that day, and I waited tables at Texas de Brazil that night.
Damn. So what's your excuse, niggas?
Yeah, real talk, bro. Like,
and he can't read.
And
he can't, bro. That in itself should tell you, bro. What's your excuse, man? Mondays.
Fucking awesome, bro. And it's the thing is that even when you started your business, like you were still losing money, you were operating in the red for a period of time.
Oh my
People
God,
walking off on jobs, like.
And he's a ginger.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you, man?
Yeah.
No excuses. You don't even got a soul.
What are the top 2 or 3 things you learned from starting your own venture you can give out to the audience? Because a lot of people, they get scared from entrepreneurship. They're scared to take risks. Obviously, you took a huge risk. Taking a bunch of your money that you were earning, putting it into a savings account, probably living on nothing so you could get that 10,000 net worth. From that experience, audience, you know, from waiting tables to who you are now, what are some lessons that you would give the people out there?
I tell people often that either I was too dumb or too tough to quit. And I think you have to be that. And then another thing I say is like, stay in the same fight. If you know you're in the right business model, like we live in a world now, that's why I push Hustlers University so hard. It's because I do think there's easier ways to make money. But like we were talking about before the show started, it's the only thing I knew, man. I see people, they switch industries all the time. They get beat up a little bit and they quit. Well, dude, if you take those licks and then you know how to move, then eventually you roll on top and you might as well get your licks in. And that's what I'm doing, man. I don't really like when people say follow your passion. I feel like it's like, hey, make money and then become competent in something and you get passionate about it once you can help somebody. You don't become passionate about it until you can help somebody.
But no, that's great, man. You're able to leverage it to your benefit and use basic understanding of intersectional dynamics at a deep level at your level, and then using it to get what you want, which is great.
A lot of times I feel like when you're confident and you're going your own way, you're challenging other people's life decisions. I often say that suppression is most often and most dangerously wrapped in love. Let's say you go to Thanksgiving and you come home and you're living this life and you're in charge of your life and you're in control and you're killing it. The people close to you are super threatened by that because they're like, he's choosing a complete other path than me, and that's very dangerous to a person's identity. It's almost like telling a Christian person that God's not real. They're like, oh fuck. So even now when I go home, you know, my own family will be like, Justin, don't you think you want to like settle down, or don't you want to do this? And aren't you living life too fast and you're flying over the world? Dude, it scares people.
The thing is that people aren't used to not being comfortable, and being an entrepreneur inevitably is going to put you in a less comfortable position. And I've always said that when you're successful, it shines a spotlight on their own inadequacies. So that's why people get so uncomfortable with that. So it's like you're challenging their comfort and it makes them uncomfortable.
But just tell the audience not to do coming up as an entrepreneur.
The most dangerous thing in business is what you don't know. Don't forget that there's people out there that know more than you, so go find them and make them your mentor. They've already made the mistake. If you go to them hat in hand, there's a list of guys all over the country. Thomas Phoenix up in New Jersey, Sean and Eric and Gary that have helped me out loads. Mike in Colorado. These guys are multi-millionaires you'll never know about. I got in an organization. I found these men. They helped me. There are guys out there that are tycoons in the industry, in your industry, whatever you're in. Nobody knows about them, but they're in some association somewhere. And if you just go to them hat in hand and say, I need help, they will help you. You know, dude, there's jobs. I made $200,000 in a week when I was in Dubai. We had a re-roof job. We had an opening with one of our best guys. And we told him if he did it in a week, we'd like bonus him like 10 G's. Contract was for like 500 grand. He did it in a week, bro. And I fucking
What do you build? What was the project?
There was a roof that was leaking from a hurricane in Lake Charles. So we had to take the roof off the building.
In Lake Charles?
Yes.
Okay.
So hurricane hit Lake Charles, fucked it up bad. Building's leaking, big insurance deal. The GC calls us, hey, we need to re-roof this job. Bro, we had like a month in it. And we're like, bro, I'll give you 10 G's if you finish it in a week. Motherfucker did it. I made $200,000 in 5 days.
That's awesome. Bro. There's a huge gambling market there. You know, for those of you guys that don't know, Lake Charles is...
Lake Charles, that's all they have. It's shit town.
Yeah, it's
Yo,
that's where Grant Cardone's from.
Yeah.
So
my guy said 200K in a week.
200K in a week.
Man, I did that song High Value Man. So do it over.
And obviously that's probably been critical for like scaling up too, to be able to operate in 15 states. You got to have a very robust system in place.
I'm a huge believer in what I call shitty workouts. You're not going to get jacked in a day, right?
Of course.
Like it takes time. You got to be consistent, etc. A lot of times the hardest muscle to build is the consistency muscle. So your brain, I say that you have two voices in your head. You have a grown ass man voice and you have a bitch voice. It's always there saying like, oh, you can skip it. Oh, you can, do whatever. So what I like to do is manipulate myself by lying to that voice. When I'm trying to rebuild that habit, I say, listen, you're going to go in, you're going to do 1 or 2 sets, and you're going to walk the fuck out. You're going to be in there in 5 minutes. A lot of times what happens when you do that is you wake up an hour later and you fucking killed it. And so I'm a big believer in telling yourself, I'm just going to go in there and have a shitty workout. And some days you do. And that's completely fine, because what's most important is that your ass gets up and you go.
Thanks for viewing this video. Tap in with Moneyclips on IG and Money Mondays podcast via Rumble and YouTube for the latest news. Like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, push it to the limit. Peace.